Happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I know I am doing well right now. So if any of you were thinking about me, I'm doing just fine. A couple of things I want to talk about is make sure you are emailing me or getting on the Google Meet during class if you have any questions. I'm there to help you out if you're confused on anything, so please do not hesitate to reach out to me either through email or getting on the Google Meet that's connected to the Team B Math Google Classroom. For today, we are going to solve addition and subtraction equations by using the inverse operation. Let's have a positive attitude and choose kindness. Your agenda for today will be you should have already worked on Success Maker. Then you are going to continue to watch this video that's going to go over solving addition and subtraction equations. Your homework will be Math Excel 3-3. All right, let's go ahead and get started with 3-3 in the guided notes here under part 1. When you solve an equation, your goal is to get the variable alone on one side of the equal sign.
The scale is balanced. You can represent what is shown on the balance scale with the equation x plus 3 equals 6. Notice what happens when you take away the same amount, 3 1 blocks, from each side. Remove the 3 1 blocks from the left side of the pan balance. The scale is now unbalanced. Now remove 3 1 blocks from the right side. The scale is now balanced again. In the equation, you can represent removing the 3 1 blocks from each side of the scale by subtracting 3 from each side. So the solution to the equation is x equals 3.
Okay, so they do this a little bit different than the way we will write it. So if we have the equation x plus 3 equals 6, we are going to say we're going to use a T-chart. So if you ever hear me say, what time is it? You're going to say T-chart time. Okay, a T-chart is when we put a vertical line through our equal sign and a horizontal line underneath our equation. Just like they did, we subtract 3 from both sides to get the variable by itself. So x plus 3 minus 3 gives us just x. And 6 minus 3 is 3. So x equals 3. This is how I expect you to show your work. The reason why I expect it this way is it's how you'll be showing your work in junior high and high school. So continue to use this way. We call that a T-chart. All right, so it says, how many comic books do you need to add to the 17 comic books you already own to have a total of 30 comic books? Solve for the equation 17 plus x equals 30. So what we're going to be doing now is trying to solve for x like they stated earlier. We're trying to get x by itself on one side of the equation, so one side of the equal sign. So how we're going to set this up, I'm going to rewrite this as 17 plus x equals 30. So you might be able to come up with a number that you add to 17 to get 30. But I expect this work, and the reason why we expect this work is because this is just a one-step equation. We will expect you to be going to two-step equations, so you won't be able to do it in your head, maybe as quickly. All right, so what time is it? Yeah, T-chart time. Make our T-chart. And we need to get rid of the 17. So we are going to minus the 17. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So we subtract 17. Then we're left with 17 minus 17 plus x gives us just x. And this is going to equal 13. Okay. We can always go back in and check our work. We can plug in 17 plus 13. Does that equal 30? Okay. 7 plus 3 is a 0. Carry our 1, 1, 1, and 1. That's 30 equals 30. This equation is balanced. So the answer to this would be x equals 13, which it means they need 13 more comic books to get to that 30 total. All right, why don't you go ahead and try 8 plus x equals 36. All right, it's T-chart time. We're going to go ahead and make our T-chart vertical and horizontal line. We need to get the variable by itself. So we have 8 plus x. That means we need to get rid of this 8. So it's a positive 8. It means we need to subtract 8. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other to keep it balanced. All right, then we're left with x over here is equal to 28. Go ahead and plug in 28 for your x. So 8 plus 28 equals 36. 8 plus 28 is 36. So 36 is equal to 36. You can check your work. It's important to check your work because you should know if you have the correct answer or not. When you turn these problems in or take your test, you should know if you have the correct answer or not when solving for one-step equations. We have inverse operations, are operations that undo each other. So a couple of questions we just did is going to be talking more about this.
12 plus 4 equals 16. 16 minus 4 equals 12. Starting with 12, if you add 4 and then subtract 4, you end up back at 12. So subtraction undoes addition. 16 minus 4 equals 12. 12 plus 4 equals 16. Starting with 16, if you subtract 4 and then add 4, you end up back at 16. So addition undoes subtraction. Since subtraction undoes addition and addition undoes subtraction, addition and subtraction are inverse operations.
All right, now that we know that the inverse operations of each other, where you have the inverse of subtraction is addition, and the inverse of addition is subtraction. So when we're trying to get rid of a number to have the variable by itself, you use the inverse operation. So what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and write the equations under the inverse operation of the operation shown. So d minus 3 equals 267. The inverse operation of that would be addition. So a would go under addition. Go ahead and solve the rest of those, and then I will come back with your answers. I'm going to go ahead and highlight or underline all my equations that the inverse is addition with the color blue. So whatever I highlight blue should be under here on your work shown paper. So like we said here, A is going to be addition, subtraction to addition, inverse. We are going to minus M, so we do need to have this as an addition. So here, D, we have minus a, so this is also addition. Here is addition, and here is addition, the inverse. We would use, for all these ones that I've circled, we would use addition to undo the subtraction. And then these are all the ones that you should have under subtraction. C, F, C, oh, that's an E, and G should all be under subtraction. That means they used addition throughout the problem, so we're going to use subtraction as the inverse. Moving on to part 3, we are going to write simpler equations by using the T-chart. So it's T-chart time. Okay. All right, so write a simpler equivalent equation to y minus 24 equals 57 to solve the original equation. Again, it's T-chart time. So we're going to go ahead and make our T-chart, our vertical line through the equal sign, and our horizontal line underneath the equation. When we're making a simpler equation, we need to get the variable by itself to solve for it. So if I have y minus 24, I use the inverse operation. The inverse operation of subtraction is addition. If I want to get rid of that minus 24, I add 24. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side of the T-chart to keep things balanced. On the left-hand side here, we should have a y. Then we're going to have an equals. We need to solve 57 plus 24. 7 and 4, that gives us 11. That's 5, 6, 7, and 8, so 81. So y equals 81. Again, like I've told you, I do expect you to show your work on plugging in your value in for the variable to see if it works. You can check your answer. So 81 minus 24 equals 57. Is this true? 80, this is a 7. 81 minus 24. We borrow here, it becomes 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. 7 minus 2 is 5. That's 57. So 57 is equal to 57. So we know that our answer is correct. All right, I would like for you to now go ahead and solve this one on your own. Let's go ahead and go over this answer. D minus 29 equals 85. It's T-chart time. What we're going to do to both sides, this is subtraction, so the inverse is addition. So we add 29 to both sides. On the left-hand side, we're going to be left with just D, because D minus 29 plus 29, these would cancel each other out, giving us just D. Equals, so 85 plus 29, 9 plus 5 gives us 14, carry, that's 10, that's 11, 114 is our answer. Always double check your work, so 114 minus 29 equals 85. 114 and minus 29. 4 minus 9 we can't do. This becomes a 0. This is a 14. That's 5. Can't do 0 minus 2, so we carry or borrow from that 0. That becomes a 0. That's a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. So 85 is equal to 85. 5. So D equals 114, I'm sorry, is the correct answer. All right, I want to go over a problem like this. This is not in your guided notes. So if you could just find some empty space in your guided notes, or you can do it in your notebook. If we have 15 minus A equals 10, okay, we want to get our variable by itself. So if we make our t-chart and we subtract 15, we're going to be left with a minus A. So you can think about it as a negative A. That's not what we want, and this would be a negative 5. I do not want us to do it this way. What I would like for you to do, and it's 2 steps now. So we create our t-chart, and we want our variable to be a positive variable. So the inverse of minus A would be plus an A to both sides, plus A. So on the left-hand side now, we're going to have 15 is equal to 10 plus A. Our variable is not by itself, so it's going to take an additional step. So we are still looking to get this A by itself. So to do that, this is addition, so then we need to subtract 10 to both sides. Subtract 10. So 10 plus A minus 10, these cancel each other out. So we're left with A over here equals 15 minus 10, which is 5. Okay. Plugging that back in, 15 minus 5 equals 10. We know 15 minus 5 is 10, so our answer is correct. Okay. Another thing I'd like to share with you is it does not matter what side your variable is on, 5 equals A or A equals 5. You can write it either way. Just keep it with the side that you are working through. So it started over here, but then you added it to the other side. So it should finish over here. If it starts over here and ends over here, then your variable should be on this side. These problems are a little tricky, and we'll continue to work through them throughout this lesson in future lessons. Now under part 4, we're going to look at word problems. So word problems, we need to write the equation and then solve for the equation using a t-chart. So this is multiple steps here. These problems can be challenging. So let's start with Clive is 19 years younger than Josh. Clive is 34. Write and solve an equation to find Josh's age. So what we don't know is the age of Josh. That's what we're trying to figure out. We know that Clive is 19 years old. Clive is 19 years younger than Josh, and Clive is 34. So writing our equation here, we're going to say Josh minus 19 equals 34. So Josh's age minus 19 years is going to equal Clive's age, which is 34. So now we can solve for Josh's age. Making a t-chart. Get Josh by itself, so we add 19, add 19. Josh is going to equal 34 plus 19. That should be 13, 3, 4, that's 53. Okay, let's go back and check our answer by plugging in our answer into the variable. So 53 minus 19, does that equal 34? 53 minus 19, I have to borrow here, that becomes a 4. 13 minus 9 gives us 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. 34 is equal to 34. Okay, so Clive is 19 years younger than Josh, so our age should be ordered. Josh should be ordered, which 53 makes sense. And 53 minus the 19 years gives us Clive's age, which is 34. Josh is 53 years old. All right, lastly here, I want you to go ahead and write and solve the equation for this problem. Okay, Andy had some basketball cards. After he bought 12 more, he had 48 cards. How many cards did Andy have at the start? Write an equation to solve. So we can go ahead and just start. Andy had some basketball cards. Do we know how many? Nope. So we use a variable. I'm going to use the variable x. After he bought 12 more, so he bought 12 more, so that should be plus 12. He had 48 cards, so equals 48. How many cards did Andy have at the start? So at the start is our variable x. So what we need to do is we need to solve for x. The inverse operation of addition is subtraction, so we subtract 12. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other to keep the equation balanced. This side we should have x equals 48 minus 12. That's 6. That's 3. 36. Okay, 36. We're going to plug this back in for our variable. 36 plus 12. We get 8 and 4. 48 is equal to 48. So it checks out and we are good. All right, that is lesson 3.3, solving addition and subtraction equations. Remember, if there's a subtraction problem, you have to do the inverse, which is addition. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side. If it's a subtraction, or if it's an addition problem, you do the inverse, which is adding. Whatever you do to one side, please do to the other. Always make sure your answer checks out. I like doing the check marks in a lot of my problems by showing my work over here and making sure that it does work. If you have any questions throughout this lesson or at the very end, remember to check the Google Meet, see if I'm on there, and I'll answer your questions. If I'm not on there, then just feel free to email me and I'll get back with you with your answers. Have a wonderful rest of your day.